Tonight, far from a done deal. After that parliamentary vote for assisted dying in Scotland, how and when could it become legal? Also making the headlines, caring failing. Families on the Isle of Bute say they're being forced to send elderly loved ones to the mainland for care, leaving them struggling to keep in touch.
In sport, a huge night lies in store. It's the penultimate match day of the Scottish Premiership. We're live at Ibrox.
And birthday greetings, meet the Quadruplets, who are having their cake and eating it on their first birthday. I'm John Mackay. This is the STV News at 6. Good evening. It was a landmark moment, the first vote to change the law to allow assisted dying, passing a major milestone. MSPs voted by 70 to 56 in favour of the bill, but the legislation faces many more hurdles. In a moment, our political editor will reflect on what happens next. First, our chief reporter, Sharon Frew, has been speaking to people on both sides who say the campaigning continues.
Is yes 70? No, 56.
After a day of impassioned debate, the result that takes Scotland a step closer towards legalising assisted dying.
The motion is therefore agreed.
Watching events at Holyrood from her Inverness home was Rona Tynan, who's been living with multiple sclerosis for over 20 years.
I did feel I'm going to start crying. I didn't realise how emotional I would feel.
Are we all agreed?
At some stage in my life, I may well want to make a decision like that, and I want the choice to be there for myself and for other people. For all the people that want this, it's amazing, and for all the people that don't, I really hope that they can be reassured as time goes on.
Supporters described the vote as a watershed moment for compassion. Opponents spoke of their heartbreak and continued to raise concerns about safeguards for the most vulnerable.
If you don't know!
The bill still needs to pass to further stages of parliamentary scrutiny to become law.
We're going to be continuing to argue that this bill is unworkable. This bill opens a Pandora's box, and we're really concerned that it will be extended in the future, that doctors will feel obliged to take part, that people will be feeling that they have a duty to die instead of a duty to live.
Liam MacArthur has already said that he's going to put forward some key amendments to the bill, such as raising the age, the minimum age to 18. So they'll be looking at what amendments can get brought forward, look at what concerns can be addressed that some of the members in Parliament raised yesterday, and just look to make the bill really strong, really secure, and something that hopefully a majority of the Parliament can get behind.
Both sides of this debate agree palliative care needs to be improved.
Hospice UK doesn't support or oppose the legalisation of assisted dying. That's a matter for politicians to make that decision on. And I think our key reaction to the vote would just be that this emphasises the need to see further investment in palliative care. We would want to be absolutely sure that nobody ever chose an assisted death if that became an option in Scotland, if it was legalised, because they couldn't get the care that they needed, or that they feared they wouldn't get the care that they needed.
The definition of mental capacity is a key difference of the UK bill. Ahead of a Commons vote on Friday, the Royal College of Psychiatrists has withdrawn its support for the proposals in England and Wales. The college remains neutral on the Scottish bill.
What I would ask the MSPs to do is to ensure that the bill that they pass is legislation that protects those people who are most vulnerable, which means the people who are most likely to be marginalised, the people who have least voice.
There are likely to be significant changes to the current proposals before a final vote in the coming months. Sharon Frew, STV News.
Our political editor Colin Mackay will be looking out for those changes. So Colin, what are you expecting?
I'm expecting a lot of changes. Now, yesterday was a historic day at the Scottish Parliament, a historic vote here. But the assisted dying bill is still a long way from legislation. Next, as you heard, comes the committee scrutiny. That won't really get underway until after the summer recess, so September at the earliest. There could be hundreds of amendments. The housing bill, which is going through Parliament just now, has 500 amendments. There'll be amendments to increase the starting age for assisted dying from 16 to 18. There's the issue of coercion, of people being forced into assisted dying or feeling that they're being pushed into it because they feel a burden to their families. The Health Committee convener raised the issue of a sunset clause, with the legislation having to be voted on every 5 years by MSPs. That would be in every parliamentary term. There will be amendments on whether doctors should opt in or opt out of the system, and the Royal Pharmaceutical Society want pharmacists to have an opt-in to providing the prescriptions. Then there's the fact that the Scottish Parliament doesn't actually have the power over lethal drugs, so they would need a Section 30 order from Westminster to get those powers to actually be able to deliver this. That's the same mechanism that delivered the 2014 independence referendum, so there's no guarantee they'd get that.
So when could we see the final vote on this?
I don't think we'll get the final vote until the new year, and by then we're in the run-up to the Scottish Parliament election. That will pile even more pressure on the MSPs as they prepare to vote. Now, MSPs' inboxes have been inundated with this issue, and that will ramp up in the run-up to stage 3. Yesterday alone, in fact, one MSP was just telling me they had 800 emails. Now, just to give you a taster of what's to come, Bishop Keenan of Paisley says last night's vote devalues human life, describing it as a state suicide service. Now, if you thought that the debate and the decision on this life and death issue yesterday was difficult, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Colin, at the Scottish Parliament, thank you. We are failing our most vulnerable. That's the message from families who say they must choose between caring for their elderly loved ones with complex dementia needs at home or sending them to the mainland, far from reach. A fierce community battle saved the Isle of Bute's only elderly daycare centre, but now a new blow, with plans for 6 desperately needed additional care home beds put on hold. Caitlin Hutchison reports.
So she says, what's my name? And she just looked at me. No.
John and his daughter Jacqueline are caring for his wife at home. She has advanced dementia, but sending her off the island feels unthinkable.
How are you feeling with all this, John? Because you've obviously had your own health issues as well. It's a huge burden on you.
Yep. I feel if she goes into a home, that'll be end up.
We're petrified that the thought of Mum having to go into a care home off the island because she could be placed anywhere. We have actually been told that people have been placed in areas like Fife or Stirling, and like that would be a lot of travelling for us, and for my dad wouldn't manage it now.
It'd break my heart if you go up there. Yeah.
Use a glass of water.
Others have already had to make that painful decision. Joanna, who relies on her wheelchair, now faces a 5-hour round trip to visit her mother.
She's over there right now with no one. I need the ferries to run, I need the trains to run, I need the lifts to be working. Last week there, my wheelchair decided to pack in on me, so I never got to see her on her birthday. We would love to be with her. Well, she's going through what she's going through right now. We wouldn't miss a Christmas, we wouldn't miss a birthday, but we can't.
Back in October, the council announced funding to expand Thompson Court, the island's only care home, from 8 beds to 14. Joanna had hoped her mother might get one of those places, but now the plan is on ice.
This is the only care home on the island, and 8 beds for a population of over 6,000, where 25% of them are over 65. It's just appalling. When they review the situation, they have to go back out to tender. And as we know, building costs are going through the roof daily. It doesn't make any fiscal sense.
The council and Health and Social Care Partnership say they're extremely disappointed they can't proceed, blaming costs that far exceed their budget. They acknowledge demand for care home places is rising, but say they've already significantly overspent on social care.
Have a great night.
Families now fear the dementia daycare unit could also be at risk. They understand budgets are tight, but say dignity and care for the elderly should be our #1 priority.
Happy memories.
Caitlin Hutchison, STV News in Rothesay.
So Caitlin, we've seen the strain that the families on Bute are under, but how widespread is this problem in other island communities and indeed rural areas?
Well, it is a growing crisis, partly because we have a steadily growing ageing population here, and the number of people with dementia, which currently sits at about 90,000, is set to go up by 50% in 20 years. But of course, we're also dealing with a very challenging economic climate. Key organisations have warned that care homes all over the country are having to close at an alarming rate, and because care home providers go where the money is, often the homes that are closing are small or are in rural areas.
So what's being done to address this imbalance in care?
Well, there has been some positive movement, albeit quite small. A new round of grassroots funding, for instance, to the tune of £350,000 was recently awarded to 27 local dementia projects, many of which are in rural areas. But of course, this really is a drop in the ocean, and experts say that we need a serious rethink on how we fund and deliver social care.
Caitlin, thank you. The Scottish Labour leader Anna Sawar is defending the Prime Minister Keir Starmer's plans to cut immigration and that comment about Britain risking becoming an island of strangers.
The reality is, under the Conservative Party, we had a broken immigration system, and that's what the Prime Minister is trying to address. Migration has been good for Scotland, it's been good for the UK, it has many, many positives, but you can be pro-migration, pro the benefits of migration, but still support a controlled and workable immigration system.
The UK government's immigration crackdown was debated at Prime Minister's questions, and our Westminster correspondent Paris Goutsianis was watching. Paris, what's the reaction there to the Prime Minister's language?
Well, John, there was both criticism and praise for the Prime Minister, which tells you a lot about the difficult position Labour finds itself in on this issue. On one side, critics who say that Keir Starmer is borrowing the language of the far right. That includes several Labour MPs and the party's leader in Wales, the First Minister Eluned Morgan, who said that she wouldn't repeat what she called divisive language. On the other side, Nigel Farage from the Reform Party, who was saying, finally, you're listening to me.
This Prime Minister once spoke of compassion and dignity for migrants and for defending free movement. Now he talks of islands of strangers and taking back control. Somebody here has to call this out, Mr. Speaker. Is there any belief he holds which survives a week in Downing Street?
Yes, the belief that she talks rubbish.
We at Reform, a party that is alive and kicking, very much enjoyed your speech on Monday. You seem to be learning a very great deal from us.
That criticism that you heard may have struck a nerve with Keir Starmer, but it's the praise from Nigel Farage that will have him worried. It'll just add to the anger at the tone the Prime Minister is now taking on immigration. Stand Up to Racism is planning protests tomorrow in Edinburgh and Glasgow against the government's plans. And to return to Anna Sawar, this is particularly difficult for him because population statistics suggest that Scotland needs immigration more than other parts of the UK, but Scottish Labour is also being squeezed by the anti-immigration Reform Party. We'll find out just how big that squeeze is at the Scottish Parliament by-election next month in Hamilton, Larkhall and Stonehouse.
Paris at Westminster, thank you. Political parties have been banned from Glasgow's Pride event following the Supreme Court's decision on the legal definition of a woman. No parties will be allowed to register for a space within the march or host stalls at the event. Organisers say the move is based on the party's lack of action and delay of comment on trans rights. Hundreds of civil service jobs are set to be created in Glasgow as part of plans to save money by relocating roles away from London. The UK government is aiming to cut the number of roles in London in an effort to save £94 million a year. Glasgow has been chosen as one of 13 new regional hubs. Since 1969, Bill Hutchison has been pushing the keys and pounding the pedals of the famous organ at Kelvingrove Museum. The daily recitals are heard by hundreds of tourists visiting Glasgow from around the world. After 5 decades on the keys, he's helping mark Glasgow's 850th birthday celebrations with a special musical tribute. Tara Fitzpatrick reports.
For over half a century, Bill has been striking a chord at Glasgow's Kelvingrove, performing over 500 times to audiences from around the world.
You don't always get to meet the people because you're quite isolated up in the organ gallery. They're becoming a lot less formal and open to many, many more people who maybe never heard an organ before.
He's now being honoured for his musical contributions to Glasgow as the city celebrates its 850th birthday.
56 years I've been playing here. 50 years ago today, it was the Glasgow 800 celebration of the city, and I had the recital then. Of course, now this is Glasgow 850, exactly 50 years ago today, and it was a Wednesday. And there's a nod to the city of Glasgow in my first piece. It's a little compilation of my own called A Glasgow Flourish.
And Bill pulled out all the stops for the anniversary performance.
We came to check the museum out and saw it was on and just really wanted to stay and listen.
Never seen anything like this in New Zealand at all, so it's going to be amazing.
It's over my expectation here, and which fulfill my visit in Scotland.
Yes, this is my first time visiting. It's beautiful. I'm so excited. I just love it. So, yeah.
The sound in this room and the magnificence of the room is amazing. It brought tears to my eyes, actually.
To see all this pomp and circumstance is just so wonderful, and it's just lovely, lovely.
It's a magnificent building, and to listen to the organ and the whole performance was just a magical experience.
Kelvingrove's organ recitals are world renowned, and Bill hopes his legacy will ensure the power of music for generations to come.
Here's to the future of the city, and particularly this wonderful Kelvingrove organ, which is quite unique. It's quite an honour to be playing on this particular date. I don't think I'll be doing Glasgow 950.
Tara Fitzpatrick, STV News, Glasgow.
A full programme of top division football tonight. Ronnie is standing by at Ibrox with the sport.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith Spring Sale.
Yes, a very good evening from Ibrox on this, the penultimate evening of the Scottish Premiership. Just 2 games to go, and here tonight Rangers welcome European chasing Dundee United in what could very well be Barry Ferguson's final home match in charge of Rangers. Lots of speculation and names swirling as to who will take over next season, but for the interim head coach, he did manage to get his first home win in charge at the weekend in that impressive 4-0 win over Aberdeen. He admits the managerial situation could become clearer soon, but is only focused on ensuring a positive end to the season.
The last home game, it is important that we put a performance, but the most important thing is that we get the 3 points. Look, Sunday, it was important because I was sick of hearing people going on about how long, but rightfully so, because it was far too long without a win. So we got that 3 points. Thoroughly deserved, with a really good second half performance, and now we need to carry that obviously into the game against Dundee United.
Yeah, it's important, as was the weekend there, to get the win. It was important these next 2 games we finish the season strongly, because we have to go in the summer with something, so it's important we do that.
Well, visitors at Dundee United are still battling with St Mirren for that potential European spot in 5th place. 2 points separating the two sides with 2 games to go. It could be a huge night in the race for European football. Elsewhere this evening, though, champion Celtic will there in the north-east to take on Jimmy Tillene's Aberdeen in a dress rehearsal for the Scottish Cup final in a couple of weeks' time. Chris Harvey is at Pittodrie.
Well, Ronnie, tonight has huge significance for both teams, but for vastly different reasons. Aberdeen need a big reaction after getting thumped 4-0 at Ibrox on Sunday. And on top of that, they can't afford a demoralising thrashing from cup final opponent Celtic just over a week out from the showpiece finale to the season. Well, Celtic could win twice here. Firstly, by beating Aberdeen, and secondly, by doing it with a team packed with fringe players, amping up that psychological blow ahead of the Hoops treble bid at Hampden.
My longer term goal over this period was to get the squad in the best condition that I possibly could, and that means getting players some minutes in some games. And so, as I said, it's different context to the game. The Scottish Cup final is a special game in itself, and when that comes in 11 days' time, we'll be ready for that. This game is different, but it doesn't change our ambition. We want to win the game, and importantly, we want to play well.
But not every change in the 11 tonight for Celtic will be through choice. Missing through injury are US defender Cameron Carter-Vickers and Japan striker Daisen Maeda. Kick-off here at Pittodrie is at 8 o'clock.
Hearts are also in action this evening as they close in on the appointment of Derek McInnes as their next manager. They welcome bottom of the table St Johnstone, and we can cross live to Gorgie to speak to Jamie Bothwick. Jamie, what's the latest?
Yes, Ronnie, the build-up to this one's been dominated by Hearts' pursuit of Derek McInnes, and with an agreement in place now between all parties, it feels like just a matter of time before he is unveiled as the new head coach of Hearts. McInnes was actually here at Tynecastle last night meeting board members and putting together the finer details, but he will remain in charge of Kilmarnock until the end of the season. That game, of course, Kilmarnock against Hearts at Rugby Park on Sunday. It's the man in charge on a temporary basis here at Tynecastle at the moment is Liam Fox, and he's guided Hearts to some impressive victories back-to-back ahead of tonight's game against St Johnstone.
We're just looking to keep building and putting on good performances and continue with playing some good, what I see as good attractive football and hopefully scoring some more goals. But off the back of that, we're coming up against a team who are absolutely fighting for their lives, and they will absolutely be at it. So in any game of football, you've got to earn the right to win.
Craig Gordon remains injured for Hearts with a neck issue, and Kenneth Vargas will also miss out with a knee strain that he picked up at the weekend. For St Johnstone, they have to win this game to take their fight for Premiership survival into the final weekend. But it's not a fixture with a happy recent memories for them. They've lost 9 on the bounce to Hearts. They haven't won here at Tynecastle in 5.5 years.
Jamie at Tynecastle, thank you very much for that. Staying with the Edinburgh sides, and Hibs head coach David Gray is calling for his players to take one final push as they travel to St Mirren, knowing all 3 points would all but secure third place in the Premiership table. Well, let's take a look at the full fixture card for this evening's game, starting with a massive one towards the bottom end of the table. Dundee welcoming Ross County. Hearts take on St Johnstone, as you just heard. It's Motherwell Kelly here at Ibrox. Rangers Dundee United. That huge game in Paisley between St Mirren and Hibs. And the later kick-off at 8 p.m. is Aberdeen versus Celtic. And finally this evening, it's Advantage Livingston in the Premiership playoff semi-finals. That after a 2-0 win over Partick Thistle. But David Martindale is warning his players the tie is far from over. Well, it was Scott Pittman who got the ball rolling for the Lions last night at Firhill before Danny Wilson made it 2 into the second half. They now travel to Livingston on Friday night. It is the second leg with Livingston leading 2-0. That should be a cracker on Friday night here at Ibrox. Rangers versus Dundee United, and what could be a huge night in the penultimate match day of the Scottish Premiership.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith Spring Sale.
Now Sean has the weather forecast.
A clear start makes way for a day of ancient discoveries. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
A very good evening to you. Lovely blue skies this afternoon. Yes, a wee bit of a slow start in some spots with that cloud around. I'm going to show you the long-term temperature trend all the way towards the end of the month. And you can see Glasgow, one of our top spots. Over the next couple of days, temperatures will be still around the low to mid-20s into the early part of next week. And then, in the middle of the week, we see quite a drop. As low pressure starts to come in, we'll see a change in the weather. There will be some rain around, I expect, by the end of next week. But of course, we are way behind in our rainfall, especially across parts of Lanarkshire. So it'll take a lot of catching up. I don't expect we're going to see too much in the way of rainfall, but we will see a change in the weather next week. For the time being, remaining dry out there. A bit of a chilly night in some spots, especially for central and southern areas, 3-4 degrees Celsius. Now, tomorrow morning, there could be some fairly high-level cloud drifting its way westwards, so some hazy sunshine to start the day, but then that clears away, and then we're looking at clear blue skies in the afternoon. Top temperatures maybe a wee notch higher than today. Of course, it was a wee bit of a slow start with that cloud earlier on in central parts. The temperatures got up into the teens today, but tomorrow we'll be up to about 20 to 22 degrees Celsius in western parts. So feeling very nice in that sunshine. If you've got plans Friday, Saturday, Sunday, a picnic, a barbecue, just enjoying the lovely sunshine. Blue skies throughout the weekend. Temperatures are going to stay in the low to mid-20s and the same into early next week. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Keep it coming, Sean. Now, and finally, a family in West Lothian are celebrating a very important milestone as their quadruplet baby boys mark their first birthday. The odds of having naturally conceived quads is extremely rare, just 1 in 700,000 births, as Laura Piper reports.
For the Mitchell family, today is a very special day, celebrating not just 1, but 4 birthdays. Ben, Noah, Harrison and Rory are quadruplets, and today they're turning 1.
Crazy, mental. It's been the best year of our lives, basically. They're up to everything now, so now I think it's better than what it was when they were small, whereas the husband's like, no chance. He thinks it was better than it'll be. Harrison screams a lot, so when he screams, Rory cries, so you can see that he's maybe like he's a wee bit sensitive. And the other 2 are just crazy, they're always running about screaming as well. So we've only got 1 sensitive one and 3 crazy ones, basically.
Naturally conceived quadruplets are extremely rare. The odds are just 1 in 700,000 births. Arlene underwent a planned caesarean section when she was 30 weeks pregnant. It took a team of 17 medical staff to deliver the boys at the Royal Infirmary of Edinburgh. And overnight, the Mitchells became a family of 8, joining proud big sister Lauren and big brother Hunter.
As soon as Hunter and Lauren walk out the room, all their eyes light up and they run towards them in the walkie pens. So you can just see the bonds right there with them instantly.
The smallest of the baby brothers, Harrison, weighed just 2 pounds 14 ounces when he was born, with all of the boys spending time in hospital before they were ready to go home. A year on, they're all absolutely thriving, with Mum and Dad now preparing for the next big milestone, 4 toddlers on the move. Laura Piper, STV News, West Lothian.
That'll have left you with a smile, I'm sure. From all of us here, thank you for watching. Have a good night.